Alright guys, we got the passenger side front brake off, and I'm surprised this wheel cylinder isn't more leaky than it is. Obviously I'm going to rebuild it, but what I'm bummed about is these shoes. I don't know if you can see that, but they're ridged all the way around. The fronts aren't too bad, but the drum has scoring. You see it all the way up, like it's gotten all kinds of dirt. Not taken care of. The other thing that I'm kind of worried about is, look at that bearing race. I mean, it's just full of dirt. So, yep, this is all going to get cleaned, and these bearings are going to get repacked. I think the bearings are actually in pretty good shape. It's just, the grease is just really dirty. Here's the driver's side front. So the bearing and the spindle look good, but look at this. Surprise! Broken springs. I was hoping I didn't have to buy springs, but guess what? I'm buying springs. The other thing is, these shoes are just as nasty as the other side, but I mean, look how much is left. There's almost no material left, so they needed to be replaced. The wheel cylinders aren't leaking, which is weird. I mean, there's a little bit of moisture, so I'm going to rebuild them, which only costs about $5, but at the same time, not getting as lucky as the wagon. It looks like we're going to need the drums turned, new shoes, new springs, and new wheel cylinders. I had hope. If you look back here, this brake line is new, and I was like, all right, that means somebody's been in here to, redo the brakes on this one side. Definitely wrong. Oh well. Luckily, brake parts are fairly cheap. It's just, I hate having to spend money on stuff I wasn't expecting to spend money on. So, there might be light at the end of the tunnel. So, this is the passenger side rear brake, and awesome news. So, the wheel cylinder, dirty, but it does look like it's been replaced before. It's definitely not an original one, and the rubber looks brand new. All the springs are in good shape. These shoes actually are in really good shape, and the drum has no warps or curves or anything like that. It's pretty smooth in there. So I plan on just cleaning this up and adjusting it and putting it back together, also bleeding it, because the back looks good. I'm so glad it's not as nasty as the front, so hopefully the other side will be just as good. Well, the driver's side rear isn't as good as the other side. So first of all, this is how you check if your wheel cylinder is bad. If you push this back out and it leaks brake fluid out like that, you know they're bad. So I'm just going to go ahead, they're not as new as I thought, I'm going to go ahead and just rebuild all four on all four corners. Shoes look good. We have broken springs and crap, but the drums look good. I don't think they're going to need turned. But yeah, obviously going to be new springs. I think these brakes will work a lot better when they actually have decent springs and seals on them. Also going to replace that line in the back. Get that done too. So, Rock Auto, here I come. From looking at all the brake parts on this car, I think 10 or 15 years ago, the brakes were all rebuilt. The problem is they've just been sitting for so long, all the rubber seals are gone. For example, this master cylinder is a reman master cylinder, but as you can see back here, let's see if I can get that to focus. It's starting to leak out the back bore, so that means it needs replaced. Luckily, the new one is only like $15, so not too bad. I was hoping that I would be able to bench bleed this and reuse it since it was a reman, but since it's leaking out the back, I don't have any other choice. Since we have the brakes basically ready to go, one thing we need to do before we do that is repack the wheel bearings. So it's a pretty simple process. You clean them, you put new grease on them, you stuff it all back together. So here are the passenger side wheel bearings all done, all clean, ready to be repacked, and here are the driver's side. So that's what I started with. The way that it works is you soak them in this. Now that won't do anything to hurt any of the metal. All it does is basically dissolves all the grease. And as you can tell, there's a lot. So the brakes are finally done. So these front ones were the worst. They needed new lines, reboot wheel cylinders, shoes, springs, and new wheel studs and new drums. So yeah, but they're done. So we can finally put the wheels on it and drive this sucker out.